Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be doing my Season 10 ranking update. So pretty much in the past I've made a lot of top 5 and ranking videos, and Season 10, a new season being released, could always change that. So instead of remaking all those videos, I do a ranking update video where I show what place Season 10 would fall in that ranking, or top 5 or top 10. So yeah, we're going to get started and talk about ranking the seasons first. So these are my rankings for the seasons. Tournament of Elements remains my favorite season, and Hunted is at 2nd place, and Skybound is at 3rd place. So yeah, I pretty much like every Ninjago season. There is no season that I dislike, but March of the Oni's place among these Ninjago seasons would be 9th place, or 3rd to least favorite Ninjago season, excluding Day of the Departed. I do think it is better than Rebooted. I mean, Rebooted had 8 episodes, and it still felt really rushed, but March of the Oni it felt better than Rebooted in a sense. I feel like some of the individual episodes were better than Rebooted's episodes. The only Rebooted episode I really did like was episode 90, not episode 90, I mean episode 34. That was an amazing episode, but yeah, I mean, I feel like the rest of the episodes of Rebooted were not that good. And then Hands of Time, of course, which definitely suffered from poor quality writing. With the exception of the finale episode, the entire season just felt very boring. So for those reasons, I like March of the Oni more than those seasons, and of course Day of the Departed, but I don't really like it more than the pilots, or Rise of the Snakes, or Legacy of the Green Ninja, or any of those other ones. I mean, sure, Legacy of the Green Ninja had its problems with the filler episodes, but I don't think the filler episodes were bad episodes, necessarily. And, you know, the pilots also had their problems, but I didn't feel like they were nearly as rushed as March of the Oni. And when it comes down to it, I think March of the Oni is only this low because it was this rushed. If it was longer, I have no doubt that it would be higher. So in terms of villains, the Omega Oni was the main villain of Season 10, and sadly I would place him at the worst spot, and above Sensei Yang, of course, but I typically tend not to count Day of the Departed in rankings, since it isn't technically a season, but I still have it in the list anyways. But yeah, I think Omega had a ton of potential, and I think, as I said before, he had a great on-screen presence. He was animated wonderfully. He just looked awesome in every shot he was in, and he looked very intimidating. But as a character, he just didn't really have any distinguishing traits. I mean, I think it's something that Iron Baron somehow got above Hands of Time. I mean, Iron Baron isn't the best villain either, but I feel like he had some more depth to his character. He was a very evil person, and the Hands of Time were just very predictable as characters, and they can be annoying sometimes. And of course, that was a result of poor writing, but I think the problem with Omega was that he was underdeveloped, and we knew nothing about him. We didn't know who he was. Was he an Oni warlord? Was he just some random Oni who came to power? We just don't know anything about him. And I think he doesn't really have any interesting things going on either, except, of course, with his interactions with Garmadon. I really loved in episode 98 when he told Garmadon that he sensed uncertainty and doubt in him. I think that scene was amazing, but that's the only great scene that we saw from Omega. So when we're talking about motives, I put Omega himself on this list, but it's really just the entire Oni army, and their motives were essentially to take over all of the realms. And I think that is an interesting story, but we've kind of already seen it with Moro and the Ghost Army, but this was kind of to an even darker extent. I mean, these guys are actually going through and turning people to stone and spreading their black cloud of doom across the entire realms. I think that's even more darker, but it's not at the same time, it's not really an original motive. We've seen this done before in Ninjago, but I would say it is definitely better than the Heads of Time, whose motives were really dumb, and definitely better than Iron Baron, who didn't even have motives other than the fact that he wanted to be powerful. So when we're talking about soundtracks and themes, I believe that this is the Omega Oni soundtrack. This is actually the Oni theme, but I believe that this very specific rendition of the theme is Omega soundtrack, but we don't know for a fact, so I'm just going based off of the fact that this theme usually plays around Omega. But yeah, there is another slower variant that also plays around Omega. It's when he introduces himself, so if you want to check that out, you can. But yeah, I would rank this below Iron Baron and above Sensei Yang. I mean, all of these soundtracks are amazing, so it's just really about which is better and which is the best, honestly. So yeah, I think it's really cool, and I definitely like the vocals in the background and how it just suddenly starts with this variant that I played. And with the other variant that plays, it's very mysterious and very slow. And I think the Oni theme is truly a spectacular soundtrack, and I really love the renditions of them that play around Omega. So now we're going to be talking about the intros. I thought the March of the Oni intro was really good, and I would rank it below the Hunted intro, but above the Rebooted Whip and the Sons of Garmadon intro. I thought the idea of them featuring all of these past seasons was such a brilliant idea. The soundtrack was just stunning for this, especially. I feel like all of these Ninjago intros are really good, with the exception of the Sons of Garmadon intro, and the Rebooted intro was just okay. But I feel like all these from March of the Oni up are just really cool. And I especially love, this was a legacy season pretty much, so it made a total sense to reference these past seasons. And it's not just that, I thought the animation was really cool, how each one just transitioned beautifully to the next one. I especially love the transition from the pilots to Season 1, where Garmadon is in the same place, but his eyes and of course, he gains those extra arms. Only that changes. And I thought the murals themselves were beautifully done. I really thought they were great representations of the season. And again, the soundtrack was just beautiful for this. I really loved the intro, and I thought they did a great job of doing something different, and it worked really well. So yeah, sadly, I don't really feel like the ending of March of the Oni, the season finale that is, was that good of an episode. I thought it was a good episode, but, compared to all of these other episodes, I really feel like Ninjago's season finales are typically amazing, and I don't think endings really met that mark. It is my least favorite finale as of now, but that being said, it's not a bad episode. It just felt incredibly rushed, and especially when compared to these seasons where something was sacrificed in all of these to defeat the villain. But not really in endings. It just kind of happened, and that was all. You had Rise of the Great Devourer, where in order to defeat the beast, they ended up losing their golden weapons, and Lost in Time, Wu ended up being lost in time, and the Titanium Ninja, Zane died. But with endings, it's just the Tornado of Creation, and bam, they're gone. There wasn't really that much emotional weight, although I will say the episode itself had a lot of nostalgia in it. But nostalgia isn't everything, and it also requires, actual explanations, and a little bit more of the emotion. And the last topic we're going to talk about are the season premieres. The season premiere of March of the Oni was The Darkness Comes, and I put this in 7th place out of these 10 season premieres. And I will explain the following. I feel like this episode was also really rushed, and on this list, I just want to provide some context. I feel like The Surge and Up are good episodes, and Infamous and Down are bad episodes. Firstborn and The Darkness Comes are just okay. And I'm going to explain why. I feel like with The Darkness Comes, the Oni invasion scene was very, very cool, but the episode itself felt rushed, and I didn't really understand Faith in Firstborn. It just happened, and that's all. It was just moved on from right away. I don't really feel like it was a bad episode necessarily. It's just not as good as some of the other season premieres. Some of the other season premieres just have a bit more going on. They didn't feel as rushed necessarily, and, just more was explained. But with this season premiere, the good thing was that it was set up from the past season, and it was set up all through Hunted. So I thought that was definitely done well when compared to other season premieres where the villain just kind of shows up out of nowhere. It was different with this because it was set up all throughout Hunted. So I think that was done well. So yeah, these are just my ranking updates for past videos and where season 10 falls into those. I'm thinking that I might redo my ranking the seasons video at some point in the future. Mostly because I think personally my video quality has definitely improved since I did that video last spring. And yeah, I think and my opinions have changed as well, so I think it is definitely necessary that I redo that video as its own video. So yeah, I might post that in a few weeks or something. But yeah, thank you guys for watching this video. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, share with anyone ever you know, and I'll see you next time.